следуйте в бомбоубежище. Фух, вот, но, в общем, все нормально, просто не знаю, мы здесь, получается... Короче, здесь происходят странные вещи, поскольку это, ну, близко к территории, видимо, военных действий, то тут с связью бывает проблема. Просто в один момент выключилась связь, мегафон, типа в 11:50 вечера, и включилась только в 4 утра. Как бы просто, то есть нет связи вообще, ну никак не ловит. То есть ничего не сделаешь с телефоном. То есть даже если ты где-то в этот момент был бы в каком-то месте, ты бы не смог даже там, ну, не вызвать такси, ничего. Вот. Поэтому уже думаю, что, в общем, тут, видимо, всякое может произойти. So, так, давайте я, значит, включу запись снова.
Эдвард Рафаэльевич, такой вопрос. У нас сейчас по плану решить вот это задание, и потом мы что-то еще порешаем, или только с заданием закончим?
Ну, вообще, закончим заданием, но если что-то захотим еще, то можем еще, в принципе, у кого будет настрой. Это, в принципе, основная задача, которая будет, поэтому вот хорошо бы как бы было с нее начать. Так,
Я думаю,
понятно.
будет здорово оставить остальные задачи, может, на другой день и начать просто чуть раньше, если будет возможность.
да, конечно. Так,
А,
в принципе,
м,
решим, а там уже посмотрим, окей, по
Хорошо. А
ситуации.
можно
Так,
организационный
и
вопрос
всегда все
быстрый?
что. Мгм,
У
да.
вас был выложен в папке Homeworks расписание домашних заданий. Сейчас я там их
Ну,
не
оно
вижу.
приблизительное было. В общем, давайте напишем midterm, и потом у нас, получается, будет неделя целая до следующей лекции, как раз будут семинары, и мы ДЗ подумаем, какой сделать вот на этом как раз семинаре. То есть вы получите, я думаю, что мы разберем Facebook кейс на семинаре, и вы получите задание по нему. Я думаю, так сделаем. То есть смотрите это, если вам интересно, сразу. Это будет где-то, мы здесь напишем. Ну, в общем, где-то вы получите вот здесь задание, и оно будет на неделю. То есть у
Третье,
каждого,
правильно?
да, третье, да. А
Хорошо,
четвертое,
спасибо.
четвертое будет вот здесь. Здесь мы напишем квиз на этой неделе. И потом будем писать квиз тогда каждую неделю, потому что потом квизы уже будут такие, чтобы, как сказать, и немножко к экзамену повторять тоже. Вот, такие более, как сказать, нацелены на подготовку. И хомворки тогда, получается, будут, наверное, да, в общем, еще два как-то вместим. Вот, они тоже будут направлены на что-нибудь нацеленное к экзамену, чтобы не просто так, собственно. Вот, да, вопрос у вас, Иван? Нет, нужно обязательно личное присутствие. То есть, все запишитесь. Я говорю, что все должны присутствовать, а те, кто будут, ну, в общем, нужно будет записаться, да, то есть будут списки записаны, то мы будем, как сказать, узнавать детали, почему не присутствовали, есть ли на это какие-то основания и так далее, да, поскольку, ну, в общем, мы говорили, что очно надо быть, вот, поскольку да, поскольку, в общем, были некоторые, мы пишем, видите, все одновременно, поскольку, как сказать, к сожалению, не прошли проверку на честность многие группы, не знаю, там, я уже, честно, даже не вникал, кто, забил пока на это дело, а потом ближе к экзамену уже думаю, подумаю на этот счет. Вот, но не могут писать группы в разное время, поскольку, в общем, присутствует асимметрия, да, чем дальше, тем оценки лучше. Вот, и правильный ответ это даже там, где как бы я, по сути, неправильный указал. Вот, поэтому правильный, который должен быть правильный, как бы для получения баллов, не который есть на самом деле правильный. Вот, поэтому, в общем, пишем все теперь все одновременно. Вот, и, скорее всего, квизы будем писать тоже на лекции, все одновременно. Вот, такие дела. И, может быть, даже будут два квиза разных для экономистов и для менеджеров. Вот. В общем, как-то так будем, к сожалению, это решать. Это лишнее время, мое там, да, и вот это не очень хорошо, но других вариантов нет. Иначе получится, что кто-то будет, в общем, несправедливо оценен, да. Мы же все-таки потом будем нормировать там все, поскольку я не уверен, что тот же midterm все напишут там на 80, там с лишним, да, 80 плюс, чтобы получить, ну вот по округлению там девятки, десятки, да, то есть я думаю, что придется все равно нормировать, вот. Поэтому, когда ты нормируешь нечестные работы, это получается вообще не то. Окей, так, давайте, значит, перейдем к задаче. So, about the task, I'm making recording, I suppose, yes. So, about the task, we finished on the thing that what is the strategy actually. First of all, we identified that dividend policy is constant. So, in other words, we have to pay how much? How much? 18. In previous year, they were paid 18 millions out of 72. It's about one fourth, right? So it's 25% payout ratio this year. So it means this year we can pay how much? 20, right? Proportionally. So that's actually the answer. And we at the same time, um,
То есть здесь логика была просто в том, чтобы посчитать пропорцию?
so I'm here. Sorry, some internet connection problem. So what last did I say?
Что ответ 20.
Yeah. So, and we can say the answer 20, yeah? But the exact question we asked, uh, it's um, it's not just straight the calculate dividend. It said which what would you suggest, yeah, regarding dividend payments? So you to make suggestions, you have to see the situation broader and understand the context. Yeah. So maybe you have to pay 20, but it's unwise, and you have to change their policy and explain to the shareholders that guys, this year we don't have another opportunity, and you will be given nothing, for instance. Yeah. So let's see in details. Меня слышно, да, хорошо?
Да, отлично.
Да-да-да.
Супер. 20, so if constant dividend policy, it means constant payout ratio. So we paid in this year, in previous one, 18 out of 72, that's one quarter, 25%. So pretty the same situation, yeah. But I mean that you have to make some suggestion, and let's consider the context, what's going on. First of all, yeah, I got the question, and usually question tells me, so dividend payments, I should calculate the Mhm, mhm, exactly, proportionally. So if you know this ratio here, it tends to be constant over next year. So, and in other words, we have to understand how much cash do we have in the firm, and what we are given in this task. Yeah, on midterm exam, you can have different table. Maybe you will have two tables. Maybe you will have small income statement and small cash flow statement, very, very small. But still, yeah, it can be different, but you have to look for something you require, not take everything you are given. Yeah, just um, do this wisely and find what you really need. Yeah, I mean, try to follow your logic and get only what you require. Yeah, because sometimes we have some redundant data, so that's a common thing. So yeah, don't be caged in this trap. Yeah, don't, if you give a number, it doesn't necessarily indicate you should use it. So yeah, what we have: revenue, operating expenses, interest expense, taxes, net income. Let's check. Yeah, exactly. We just deduct this and get net income. So what we have else? We have current assets ending and ending. Yeah, only ending. So it means we understand that in the end of this year, we had current assets for 10 million and current liabilities for 3. In other words, what we understand here, our working capital, because working capital, as you remember, what is working capital? Who remembers?
Current assets minus current liabilities.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So, yeah, we understand it. And by the way, um, we have to understand the change. Yeah. So change is, it means we know it in the beginning, we know it in the end. Yeah. So it means it was like 5 minus 3 and it becomes like 7 minus 3. So yeah, but still, the thing is we have to this is data about last year, and of course we found a change. Yeah, but do we necessarily need this change? Maybe we need this change from the next year. Yeah, which is not given. Yeah, so I mean, if you have in the formula change and you can calculate it only here, it doesn't again necessarily tells you that you have to do this. Yeah, just try to think what we do. We try to calculate the cash flow for a year to understand which there since the last year exam it takes place in the previous year, so 2021, and during this year you have, by the end of this year you have this amount. In the end, in the beginning of the year you had this amount here, but if you want uh, um, to focus next, maybe which requirements you're going to have later, right? So, I mean, if you were standing in this standpoint here, yeah, and we're calculating something like to how much to pay dividends, you have to have the requirements in the next year, because maybe I pay out all the cash, but in this year we will have increased demand, yeah, and we will have to keep more inventory, yeah. That's why we need to have more cash in our um, company. So yeah, you got the idea. So that's why I suppose this data is redundant. Yeah, we will see later for sure, but right now, because I don't remember exactly the task, it was like one almost a year ago. Yeah, so and I just share with you my opinion. Yeah, so this maybe is redundant because yeah. So
Sorry,
I
can
go
I
I
ask a question?
yeah, sure.
Yeah, because the connection was not very good. So we need to understand what we should have as the requirements for 2022 in order to understand how much we can pay for
Yeah.
dividends.
Because my idea was that you have to understand where exactly are you standing right now. Yeah, when we make some judgments, we are in some point of time. Yeah, and if we have meeting in the end of 2021, so it means it goes like this: like in Arabic countries from right to left. So you go this 2020 and then 2021 in the end. So you stand here, yeah, and you actually account for the things which were in this year. But if you want to plan how much cash to pay out, you have to consider your future requirements, because the next year, 2022, will start and you will have to fund your operating capital. So, I mean, actually, change should be considered for next period. Yeah, that's important. That's important. Yeah. Yeah. So, in other words, you're right. 20, we need to consider for 2022. What else we have here? So yeah, this is data about also long-term debt ending. So it means that we started the year with 20 millions in debt, yeah, and we ended the year in 90 millions in debt. It means that we increased our leverage in a significant um, proportion. So 4.5 times more debt. So what's next? We have data about some depreciation and the information that no new equipment was sold or purchased during that period. So in other words, um, so during that period, ah, 5 years, yeah, I got. So over 5 years, depreciation is 50 million and no new equipment was sold to purchase during that period of 5 years. So it meant that we had some 50 um, we had 50 million depreciation for 5 years, in other words, 10 million annually. So here we can understand our annual depreciation. So it's good. Yeah, we understand that our non-cash expense is 10 million. So if we calculate it here, so first of all, we should understand, do we have it here or not? That's very interesting question, because if it's here inside, then if we use this amount, we have to add it. Yeah, but it's at net income. So, and usually when we're talking about operating expenses, we usually suppose it should be here inside. So it's a typical situation. Okay.
Писец, новости просто мега позитивные.
So,
Sorry,
however,
the
the next
connection
year.
was the connection was bad. Can you repeat again?
So,
So
is it often
the
bad?
sum of
Is it often
investment
bad?
is included in operating expenses. Is that true?
Depreciation is included in operating expenses. Yeah, it's true.
Oh, I see.
So is connection often not good? Because I had some talks and here and also demonstrate the screen, it was okay. And even if it's just one line here. So, в общем, часто прерывается связь и часто как-то тормозит, просто чтобы я понимал. Я, может быть, попытаюсь другой интернет подключить.
Сейчас
Или
достаточно
это
часто,
редко?
да, но до того, как мы прервались, было нормально.
Интересно. Так, подождите секунду, спрошу своего товарища. Может быть, он забыл, что нельзя сидеть в интернете, если у меня кол. Так, сейчас я выключу микрофон. Yeah, we found the problem. Yeah, my friend just was listening the music using Wi-Fi. So sorry for this. And right now it should be better, I suppose. So I have actually opened Excel here to make some calculations. But to sum up the task, we are given actually the information about what? Our revenues, operating expenses, taxes, interest. So we know net income. So it means we can almostly know our operating cash flow. So if we add back depreciation, so more likely we have operating cash flow here. And so in this case, it should be, for instance, 90. Yeah. And what else? If we know our operating cash flow, then we have to think about what? Operating cash flow is actually the amount which we were given from operations, and it's should be expanded by the idea that our working capital actually requires sometimes releasing or sometimes increase. It depends on will we store more inventory? Will we get faster payments, or will we be allowed to pay our bills later? So, in other words, um, we can how to say um, I forgot the word, sorry. So I mean to make our cash cycle more narrower or wider, yeah. So if we are if we are said that a company decreases days payable, is it good for us or not? Because you can be said like our we change suppliers, and that's why we have increased our days payable, or it can be said that customers started to pay mm, um, that your days receivable will be are going to be increased. So how to understand this? Who can explain?
Может быть, как раз-таки посмотреть на оборотный капитал?
Yes, exactly. And the thing which we discussed in the beginning, that this is the amount of current assets that we have by the end of this year. And it means that the next year we will have maybe different situation, depends on, yeah. If we are said that the company change suppliers, decrease days payable, it means that if we decrease days payable, it means that we now have less days to pay. In other words, we have to keep more cash on the account. So that's a problem for us. Our interest is to pay as long as possible, right? Because if you are set, you can pay in 30 days, then it means you don't need cash for these 30 days. And that's good for you. Yeah. And also, you can be set company change suppliers, increasing days payable. Is it favorable situation for the company? Is it good or bad for the company? Guys, days payable,
Can you repeat, please, what what is good or bad? The
if you are
question.
told, if you are told that days payable are increased, is it good for you as being as a manager of the company?
It is bad.
Increased, that is good. Days
Yeah,
payable, so we have more days to pay, and
yeah,
we can use capital
yeah, exactly,
more
exactly. So,
days.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So if imagine if you have some amount on your account, like 1 million, yeah, and you are told, okay, don't pay for us for this big uh, supply, uh, 800,000, yeah, almost a million. Don't pay for it right now, pay in 60 days. It means that 60 days you can use this million for your purposes, yeah, for your operations, and you don't have to pay it. You will have such a problem in 60 days, but not like this nearest days, yeah. So if your days payable decreasing, so it gives you uh, requirements to store more cash and to decrease your cash cycle. So at the same time, if we're talking about days, not days payable, but days receivable, have you heard something about days receivable? What is this?
That means someone have to pay for us.
Yeah. When we have accounts receivable, so it means we sold something, but we did not get cash still, so we can collect it over some period of time. And if we have small amount of days receivables, small number of days receivables, like for instance 15 days receivable, it means that at average any supplier, any customer pays for us during 15 days. If it's 30 days, it's not good for us. So here the situation is opposite to days payable. Yeah. So we want to receive cash as fast as possible, and we want to pay cash as long as possible. So yeah, I mean, they will have different impact on our cash flow. So if I'm CFO and calculating cash flow, then I will say, okay, they decrease the payables, so we have to store 10 millions more for the company. So in other words, if you calculated operating cash flow like 80 plus 10, so you have around 90, you have to understand that you should deduct 10 because your change in net working capital is negative. So you're going to have more cash. So you will have more working capital actually. So, and that, I mean, more than the year before. So also you are given the information about your debt. And the thing here is that we have long-term debt ending 90. It means that over this year, we increased it by 70. Yeah. So in the beginning, it was 70, but in the end of the year, it becomes 90. So it means that this year you got 70 extra. And but it said here that you plan to issue new debt to finance your project for amount of 20, just 20 million. So it's frankly, it's difficult to understand because we see here that 70. Yeah, I just criticize my own task. So is it from mock midterm or from final midterm? From mock, I suppose, because from final it should be clarified for sure. On final exam and final midterm, we don't have to meet some vague and baffling phrases actually. But if you do, then just hand up and share with others like your cautions. Yeah, okay. We issued new debt to finance your project for amount of 20. Maybe this goes just only for, or invest in this project, and this maybe goes for another projects. So or for something else. It's difficult to understand, but we will see later. Okay. Um, so the following investment opportunities could be targeted. Okay, so we already accounted for what? For for depreciation, add back non-cash expense, for working capital here, yeah. For this is actually capex, 60 million, right? And also as a capex, we can consider these investments as well. So some part of capex goes from fixed assets change, and some goes from, as you remember in the example we had here, acquisition of businesses. Yeah. So these projects can be considered as small businesses which are acquired by the company or which are funded, new businesses found. So it's like internal projects. Maybe that's a new plant, maybe that's a new office somewhere. So it depends what your company is doing. US green energy company, yeah, maybe they deploy some new energy generating plant somewhere. So there are three options. I don't know, in Texas, in California, in Alabama. So three options, something like this. Okay. So, in other words, if we calculate it for capex, for changing net working capital, dealt with all the debt, then we can come up with the idea how much we have rest. Yeah. But the thing is that we have to understand where to invest, which scenario to use. And it's a good idea to understand this scenario alternative. It means you can choose only one. Yeah. If you choose only one, it means that other cannot be. So you choose the best one here. And also it can be situation then these are not alternatives and you can invest everywhere you want if you have spare cash, right? In this case, we have to say, or if this investment adds value to the company, it should be invested in like this. So let's discuss what we are told here. In fact, is this alternative scenarios? Do I understand it from the description? The following investment opportunities could be targeted in that project. So which projects actually?
Maybe we can calculate how much money we have and according including the debt of 20 million, and so we can understand. I think that we don't have enough money for 2 or 3 projects, so we have to choose in final.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah, and the thing is that we also increased our debt by 70 here. I see it here, so it does not give me patience because I see that if I see like this, so I have to say that company also issued 70 millions of obligation, 70 million of obligations more. So in this case, I would account for this. Okay, let's maybe calculate something. So we can actually start if we do, first of all, what we should find, free cash flow to equity, right?
Sorry, a quick question. Long-term
Sure.
debt and means we give debt to some companies, or we take.
No, it's just
loans?
the excerpt from the balance sheet of the company. So in liability section, you have short-term, long-term debt, and this is just long-term debt. So it can be issuing bonds, it can be borrow money. So if we issue, if it said company issues debt, it means it does not give money to someone. It takes money. So it issues obligations. It issues долговые расписки.
То есть это наши обязательства.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because sometimes companies don't use their banks to provide loans. They use financial markets and borrow from many investors. So just like this. So we want to calculate free cash flow to equity, right? So
yes, that's true.
Yeah, how to do this?
We can use the formula net income, then different amendments, and then we get
maybe let's specify which formula. Maybe let's specify which formula.
In the presentation you showed to us, I suppose it was for lecture 7 or 6. I don't remember exactly. Yes, that's one.
This one, yeah. So
Yes.
net income minus net capex minus change in net working capital, right? Plus net debt minus debt repayment. So this is together is net debt issue, right? So new debt minus debt repayment. So yeah, okay. This is change in net working capital as we discussed. And this is, what is this? Net capex. And what we are missing here actually, what we are missing here, we discussed non-cash expense, right?
Yes.
So where is non-cash
So
expense?
the net capex is capital expenditures minus depreciation.
Yeah, exactly. So if you just open the brackets here, you have capex minus DA. And if you open the brackets, it's going to be minus capex plus DA. So you can just swap places and it's going to be net income plus DA minus capex minus change in net working capital and plus net debt issue. That's it. So I would suggest you to use this formula, and it works well. So it's well understandable. It's logical, yeah. And by the way, frankly, I don't see the small calculation problems, um, small calculation mistakes as a big problem because I would like to see the logic. Yeah, if the logic is right and you are missing some numbers, that's for me it's not so important. Yeah, but if you miss the logic, if you understand what's going on in the task, it means that I can decrease the grade, of course. So even if you have right answer, but the logic is not correct. Yeah, because all we do here, we want to understand how to to action step by step. Yeah, so and how to get with their real idea. So it works even if you are in your small business. This approach also works. So yeah, of course. Okay, in this case, let's try to do this. Hmm. So our net income is how much? 80, right?
80 million.
Our DA is
Yes.
how much? 10 is 50 divided by 5 because we know this our annual depreciation. We know it from here, 10. So yeah, usually depreciation is negative. So, but okay, let's positive. May I ask someone to turn off the mic? Yeah,
Yes.
DA back, DA back, and then what? Change. We can say like net working capital change. It's how much? So as I told you in advance, yeah, we don't need this change actually. Yeah, we need this change to this. And this change, we are not given the data for the next year because it's predicted data. And we have to understand the situation. Can we release something from our, so if I see net working capital change as positive, yeah, like, okay, 20, it means that 20 are released from current working capital. So it means we decrease it. Yeah, we don't need so much cash. So we take it as a, it goes with a plus, it goes to us like this 20 you can be used by equity holders. Yeah, don't be kept inside the company's account anymore. So, but if it's negative, like in our case, it's minus 10 million, I suppose. So in this case, we have to increase our cash requirements by 10. So it's it's negative. Yeah. Oh, and what's next? We have increasing our fixed assets by 60 million. Okay, or maybe this change from 10, yeah, I got this change from 20 to 70. So we issued 70 million more, maybe to buy these fixed assets for that. Yeah, maybe like this. So, I mean, we have to calculate for this 70 for sure, because we are set that by the end, yeah, you see, this is the end here. So, what else? CapEx is minus 60 actually. And yeah, what about new debt issue? It's, I would say, 20 plus 70. Um, what's next? Yeah, also we have to clarify to the CapEx that actually, yeah, maybe we can calculate for this moment, by this moment, and then come up with the dividends actually.
Why we have new debt issue 90, not 70?
Because it said company's plan to issue debt to finance the new project for amount of 20. So this is like extra data for this amount. So here we have just from this change 70, we understand that 70 was issued for some reason which is not specified in the text, but we see this like in the change in balance in our balance sheet excerpt. So, and maybe it's for buying these assets. Maybe, yeah, maybe, but it's not specified. But if you see like this, you're like, okay, during this year, you increase your liability by 70. You have to consider it, of course. And also 20, you are told about investing in the project. So it's 90.
Okay, then why we do not take into account like our operating expenses in CapEx?
Because
Or I do not understand something.
Probably because operating expenses, they are like our so CapEx is capital expenditure. Capital expenditure, it means expenditure, or in other words, okay, expense. Expenditures is a synonyms. Expenditure is a group of expenses. So expenditure, which is capitalized. Capitalized means it doesn't go to expenses of the period, it goes to expenses of future periods depreciating. Yeah. So capital expenditure, if something is capitalized, it's not considered the cost or expense in one period. It's considered expense in the future periods, because right now you invested something and then you just capitalize it over time. That's why the expenses and capital expenditures are completely different things. These are expenses of this year, and this was invested right now in acquiring some asset, maybe new equipment, and you will going to depreciate it over next period of time, according to some accounting rules. Okay.
And how did we get that it's minus 60?
Because it said here. So our balance, the next year new factor is added on the balance sheet, increasing fixed assets by 60 million here. So it's not equipment, it's new factory. So it should be actually okay, small factory. That's why 60 million is okay for this, of course. Yeah, it said here. That's why we have capex 60.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and so dividends, yeah, we told about how much 20 here, right? 20, okay. This is actually like this. Net income plus DA, because it's return of non-cash expense. Then we have to spend more 10 for fund in working capital. Then we invest in new factory 60. Then we issue new debt. It's good. So we have 110. Yeah. And we have dividends 20. So 20 is okay to pay. Yeah. But you see that we have, okay, let's do this additionally here. It should be in the capex, but let's do other investments. Investments. So it can be either 70 and 50 and 60. So not either one or second, first or second, but all together. Yeah, in this case, yeah, and this as well. But this should be invest in any option. It means you're just the rest, like yeah. So it's minus 90. So maybe we can invest in just two. Yeah, so it's negative still. So maybe just in one. Yeah, it's positive in this case. So, but maybe we can try to this boost too. So still negative. So in other words, I can conclude that we don't actually, yeah, um, those who said to us that we have to first of all account for how much we have rest if we pay dividends and all our other required investments. Yeah, we, we have to choose something actually, yeah, because we don't have an opportunity, or maybe we can issue new debt, yeah, and so, but it said that company is planning to issue just 20 million. Maybe we have to follow this information. It means we cannot issue new debt and say, okay, let's get new cheap debt, but invest in this project because we have to invest in all of them. They are really promising. Yeah. So I would follow this. Maybe there is some restriction. Yeah. So in other words, we cannot issue more debt, I suppose. Yeah. We have to choose something. And in this way, let's try to choose the best option. So it's a good question, I suppose, which one to choose. Any suggestions, guys?
Можно, пока мы недалеко отошли, спросить по
Of
поводу
course.
calculations?
Мгм.
Вот с change in working capital и с CAPEX понятно, почему мы вычитаем, но непонятно, почему мы прибавляем depreciation и new debt issue.
Mhm. So, what we are going to calculate, free cash flow to equity, right? So it means that this cash goes to equity section. In other words, this cash belongs to equity holders. So your shareholder, right? You want to understand. We can. I can offer such an example. You founded your own venture startup. You are like the only shareholder. You only owner of the company, sole owner, right? And you want to calculate how much cash you can take out for your vacations. You want to have a vacation for months, like somewhere far from St. Petersburg, and you have to spend maybe like several millions, and you want to understand how much can you take from the company? In this case, you are like, okay, I have net income according to my income statement. I have to like believe in it, and because my business works stably, so our patterns of taking working with suppliers and customers doesn't change at all. So that's why I can say that net income is a good approximation of my operating cash flow. That's why I can use indirect method. Yeah. In other words, in other cases, if you have really unpredictable operating process next year, I would use maybe um, operating cash flow from cash flow statement, but and use direct methods, just directly all inflows, outflows related to your operating process. But here it's okay to use net income as a basic point, and you're like, okay, 80 million, that's what I have, but you have to remember that this 80 is calculated using these amounts, and operating expenses, they usually account for depreciation inside. So, in fact, it should be not 98. It's 98 according to their um, accounting principles, but in fact, it's outflow of 88. So you have to, because 10 you didn't spend for depreciation because it's non-cash expense. So this amount, it should be 10 more, in fact. That's why we add this 10 more back. So that's why you have 90. 90 represent the amount, how much you created operating cash flow. It's 90 million, and you are like, okay, I earned 90 million, good. But it's not like earned, it's just the cash which goes to the company. Uh, it goes 90 million. And then you are like, okay, I have 90 million, what to do next? First of all, I have to store enough cash in my bank account to fund all future operations. And here we are told we need 10 million more. Yeah, because we have something inside, but we have to increase it by 10. So that's why we subtract 10, because this 10 goes out from you to the company. You put it on account and leave it there for to sustain your operations. Got?
Yes, I thought we calculated from the standpoint of managers, but it's like vice versa from the standpoint of shareholders.
Yeah, because we calculate free cash flow to equity. We decide like managers, but we first of all should calculate as shareholders because we want to understand their expectations, and they expect this amount. And then we are like, okay, so here we calculate for shareholders, but later this is the job of managers to understand, and this amount is also managers' work, and this is also managers work as well to choose investment opportunities. Yeah. Um, and from manager standpoints, it's you should calculate free cash flow to the firm. Okay. Um, yeah, capex 60 as we discussed, because we see that we need this 60.
Okay, and as for 40, because we had like 110 before, how did we get 40 as free cash flow to equity? Okay.
Just some. Oh.
So we decided not to take into account this, or take into account this minus.
Just a moment. So, which minus?
Ну вот до этого мы, получается, как бы вычитали 10, а сейчас, получается, мы прибавляем 10, прибавляем минус 10. И поэтому число другое получилось. Потому что до этого мы посчитали, получилось 110. Да, вот так.
Here I just inputted the amount of investment just blindly, yeah, because we didn't start yet this discussion which is better. I should choose one because I tried to use these two, combine them somehow. But in fact, we have amount. If we want to pay to follow our previous dividend policy, yeah, we have to um, pay 20. So in this case, we have only we can use 70. So in their final case, like yeah, so we have only possibility to invest in one project. Otherwise, we have to issue new debt, but I suppose it's not possible because we restrict on 20 million to fund this some of these projects. Yeah. So in this case, yeah, let's eliminate it. So to answer your previous question, we have to add back depreciation and all other. If it's negative, it means that uh, we lose this amount being equity holders. So this money doesn't go to their equity. This goes to their working capital. This goes to investment in projects. Yeah, this is with plus because we got this money. Company issued debt. In other words, company get loans, and these loans can be used by equity holders because if there is a so it's not good in terms some power transfers to debt providers, but still this money can be used by managers to pay to equity holders. That's the idea. That's why we have it with plus. I will just sum up in Russian, okay? В общем, у вас с минусом идет то, что уходит от вас. С плюсом это то, что к вам приходит. Вот, поэтому я предлагаю придерживаться этой логики. Хорошо?
Да, все понятно, просто было немножко непонятно с точки зрения того, с какой стороны мы смотрим. Потому что если мы смотрим со стороны менеджеров, то, получается, мы должны это сложить, да, получается? То есть direct method использовать.
В direct message, по идее, должен быть тот же самый результат. Метод, он как бы не влияет. То есть в любом случае, если вы используете direct, то у вас тогда DA вообще не будет, потому что это, она не несет никакого кэш outflow. Если вы используете direct, вы просто возьмете все operating inflows, outflows, и там DA вообще не будет. Вот. Поэтому разницы нет каким способом. Скорее идея в том, что представьте, что есть, да, скажем, некоторые казна, типа того, там, не знаю, комната, в которой деньги хранятся, да, и как бы эти деньги либо приходят туда, либо уходят, да, и вот как бы когда вы выпускаете долг, вам деньги туда приносят и обменивают на ваши долговые расписки, а когда вы инвестируете в проект, вы деньги из этой комнаты уносите, вот, и поэтому проще к этому так относиться, то есть представить некоторые treasury, equity, и вот как бы что в него приходит, уходит, потому что это, по сути, принадлежит коллективно акционерам. So, okay, yeah, just to finalize the task, we have to understand where to invest. Any suggestions, guys?
Usually we calculate NPV and profitability index, but I don't know how to do this here.
Yeah, sorry. NPV will calculate next time, I suppose, because here we don't have data for NPV calculations. And this is gonna be our next level of this task, which we're gonna discuss on Tuesday, I suppose. Yeah, and in this case, we have only data about amount of investment, beta, and return. How to deal with this? So, in general, what is the rule for accepting or rejecting investments? As you just told, we calculate NPV. If it's possible, then we invest. But here we don't have opportunity to focus cash flows, to discount it and see do we add some value. Here we have only what? We only have some risk and return measures. Beta is the measure of risk, but only one component of risk, idiosyncratic, or not? There is the so-called syncretic risk, in other words, specific risk of the company. There is the second component, market risk. So risk can be decomposed in two components, market risk and specific risk of the company. And the beta represents which part of the risk? Did you use CAPM model?
Am I right that it represents market risk?
Yeah, exactly. Did you use CAPM model on other subjects, especially economy students?
Yes.
What is the main assumption of CAPM model? Who knows? Ну, вам разве было не интересно? Вот вы использовали модель, да, что она связывает? Риск-доходность. И вам разве было не интересно, да, по какому принципу она строится? Может быть, это вообще фуфло полное, да, то есть, может быть, она настолько примитивна, что как бы в задачах вы считаете, но на практике она вообще не работает, да. Вот это, мне кажется, первый вопрос, который надо было задаться, когда вы по ней считали. Вот, и это обычная модель регрессионная на самом деле, и там просто есть, ну, как бы, один главный фактор, который используется. То есть, чтобы построить вот эту, скажем так, модель, Capital Asset Pricing Model, по идее, нам нужно построить Security Market Line, да? В общем, идея в том, что мы должны посмотреть, как, скажем так, в общем, зависит доходности активов на рынке, да, от рисков, которые есть. И вот прикол в том, что если брать только рыночную компоненту риска, то все складывается. То есть оказывается так, что если мы хотим построить модель, if we want to compound, create the model of relating risk and return all together, it means if we know some risk of the asset, we can calculate its expected return, yeah, focused it, and say that if actual is higher or lower, then we can reject or accept such an investment, yeah. So, and this model linking risk and return, the interesting thing that in fact returns on the market, which we see like for different stocks, usually our high correlation is this with the market component of the risk. It means that in fact a specific component of each stock's risk is not compensated by return premiums. Why it is like this? Because in fact this theory posits that each shareholder is rational and it tries to build a diversified portfolio. If portfolio is diversified or quasi-diversified, it means it has a really small fraction of idiosyncratic or specific risk of the company. So in other words, you can just neglect it and calculate only for market risk component. So I mean, if you see the fluctuation of the price, yeah, some volatility of the price, like this constant changing over time, yeah, like this. So it's the total risk, but only some part of it, usually, it depends on the company, yeah, of course, but the smaller is the company, the less is the component of the market risk. But still, only this component is compensated by investors. So in other words, if we want to make a model which links risk and return, we should consider only market risk. And market risk is measured using beta. Beta is just what? What is the formula for beta? If beta equals 1, what does it mean for us?
There is the beta of a market, that the correlation with the market is perfect.
Oh, if for instance,
I don't know how to say.
of my company, beta of my company is 1. It means that my company is the same risky at the market, right?
Yes.
Risk as market has. Go and clarify what is market.
The S&P 500 in this case.
Yeah, S&P 500 is a proxy for market portfolio, of course. But if we talk about market in general, what is it?
We suppose that if we make a portfolio of all the companies included in the index,
yeah,
yes,
thank you.
That will be the market.
Yeah, market is just, its portfolio consists including all companies from the market. So market is just all the companies operating. But at the same time, we can say that when we are talking about market return, we suppose like average return on the market or return of the average company. Yeah, it's better to say like this. So, okay. In other words, if my beta is 2, what does it indicate? It says that 1, 2 times more risky than the market. To calculate it correctly, you have what to do. Just, I can say this here, like standard deviation of the asset, SDI, deviation of the market, and multiplied by the correlation, like core so yeah, but you don't need this information actually, just for your understanding that this coefficient actually goes from standard deviation of the share price of the company, yeah, or its capitalization, yeah, and this volatility on the market is measured by standard deviation, yeah. The higher it is, the more volatility. In other words, if beta is 1, it means that market changes in some way, yeah. And in this pretty the same way, your company's stock also changes in pretty the same way, yeah. If you have 2 beta, it means that if market goes up 1%, usually your company goes up 2%. So it's like we can simplify like it's 2 times more volatility. So yeah, if beta is 2, it means it's my stock 2 times more faster growing and declining than the market. So it means it 2 times more more risky. Yeah. So just these coefficients are just again just statistical standard deviations and some correlations. So statistics works here, not some magic, okay? And yeah, what about these returns? What they give us? Which information they give us? What is the return, in fact?
Like what we can get from this investment?
Yeah.
How much from the initial investment we can get?
Yeah, exactly. So, and is it total return for many years, or is it annual return?
Annual?
Yeah, annual. Frankly, 99% cases you're given annual numbers. So, how to say, on default, all numbers are per annum on default here. In finance, it's like this. If it's not specified, it's per annum. So, 22 per annum. And what do you think I see here? Okay, we can afford any investments, as we remember. Yeah, even if we use here minus 70, we still have positive number here. Yeah, if minus 90, minus 99 here, it becomes negative. So other words, we can afford any, but which is better? You see, this is the largest return, and we can say, okay, let's take this one because it gives largest return, right? But what's the problem here? It has also the largest risk. But you see, here is the risk 2 times more than the market, and it's 42% return. Here risk is 1.5 more, but 22. Are you ready to risk more a little bit here, but to have almost 2 times more return? Are you ready? I suppose yes, but sometimes it's not. I suppose yes, because it's my just, intuition, yeah. But okay, of course, we will prove it pretty soon by numbers. But idea is that usually it's not so easy to say that here we have a few increase in risk, but 2 times more return increase. So it's sometimes situations are really close to each other. In this case, we have um, to possess some basis for decision making, right? And decision making is like that actually there is a thing like expected return from the project. What is expected return? Expected return, it's just return which is given by the model, which reflects the fair return estimation based on the riskiness of the asset. If this project has such a risk, it means that we can using some average return on the market, we can build some model and say, with this level of risk, project should get 25% of return, for instance, yeah? And we are like, okay, it should give, according to the model, 25. Why 25? Because on the market, usually assets with such a beta has average return of 25, yeah? So it means if we have less, this investment is not uh, is not good because it gives less than the average company on the market with this level of risk. It should give 25. In other words, we can say that this asset or this project is overvalued by the market, but we should find undervalued ones, which by the model should give, for instance, 15, but in fact it gives 22. And we are like, okay, it gives more than it should. So actual return. So to sum up, it's actual return, yeah, which we calculated from some maybe financial projections from next years. We calculated such returns, and also we have some like theoretical returns, some fair returns proposed by the model, because model is based on average estimations on the market. Yeah, so model CPM model just tells some how to say mean values of the market. So, and it can actually asset, some firms are above the line and some are below the line. That's why the average comes between them. Yeah. So average is just, I suppose you got this idea, even if you're not an expert in
Yes.
statistics. So
Can you specify it in our task for midterm that this return is actual because it's not obvious? And can you please,
yeah,
не знаю, как по-русски, по-английски, можете сдвинуть немножко документ, чтобы видно было T-bills доходность? Спасибо.
So, yeah, in this way, we just have to compare our actual returns with our returns proposed by the CPM. How CPM works? We discussed that this is just, coefficient which says how many times more risky is our asset than the market. Actually, CPM tells that if your asset is 2 times more risky, then it should be given 2 times more risk premium in return. Yeah. So, in other words, it has to possess 2 times more, but not return, but return premium. So, what is premium? premium is just the difference between return and risk-free return. So because when you risk for something, you don't risk for this amount. This amount is given free of risk. Yeah. So in other words, we can say like this: market return premium is how much? We can specify like risk free is 2%. Market risk premium is 16. Oh, sorry, this is not like this. Yeah, we see that S&P 500, which is good proxy for market return, it goes with 16. So what is actually the premium for risking in market portfolio? The premium is 14 because you don't pay some risk for 2. Yeah, if you risk for the difference. Yeah, this is given without risk. So yeah, in other words, we can calculate we can do like this: just input beta. Yeah. Yeah, we can do like this: beta a and c. So beta a is 1.5, beta b is 1.2, and this is 2. So it means that risk premium is, so if market gives us premium of 14, but our project has 1.5 beta of riskness. So in other words, premium should be 1.5 times more. So here in this case, it should be like this. Yeah, but this is risk premium of the project. But I'm interested not in risk premium. I'm interested in return on the project. How? So how to get the return on the project? Just simply to add back risk-free return. So here, based on the coupon, I calculated my return on the project, and so what I see here, I can find my either my project is overvalued or undervalued. So we can say
Sorry, there is a risk-free return not
yeah,
fixed, so the
sorry,
calculation is not correct.
yeah. Thank you very much. And so to finish this task, what should we do? Like okay, let's call this gain. Okay, gain. Do we have so actual? Oh, sorry. Then 19, then 42. Yeah, so my gain is like like this. So what do we see actually? So there beta, the project B, it's fairly valued. So his return is pretty the same as should proposed by this APM. So this project lies exactly on security market line, and this project lies under it. So it's you see it's overvalued. So here we have really good We can do like this. So here we have really good gain. So project C is undoubtedly the perfect because it gets really good gain. So it's highly undervalued by the market. Yeah, with such a risk, it should give us around 30, but it gives 42. Yeah, we have to, of course, being CPO, we have to deep in these numbers. But if we believe in it, so this is the best solution. So I would use the project which is C, so minus 60, the amount which we have rest. So you can say that what announcement? So about dividend. So you can announce that that company is advised to invest in project C. So we have rest 50 million dollars, and we can pay it out as dividends. But if we want to follow our previous strategy, we can just pay 20 and have 30 rest. We can use it for some other vast alternative investments. But if there is non-opportunities, so it's better to pay it out all as a dividend or maybe repurchase our stocks. Yeah, because we can use this amount as maybe for stock repurchase to, if we have spare cash, let's invest in ourselves, buy ourselves stocks. Got the idea?
That's clear. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you very much for participating. I hope all of you understand by now like how to calculate free cash flow to equity in simplified way, and how to think about to come up with the idea which investment is good based on risk return criteria. And next consultation, we will use NPV criterion and maybe some other used in investment evaluation like payback period or RRR or maybe profitability index. So it depends. All indices, they have pretty simple logic. So don't worry. Yeah, I will explain to you. So I mean, you can have here a different criterion in your midterm task. So yeah, if you have any questions, I'm here. So I'm stop recording the screen to save this moment, and later you're allowed to ask any questions you would like.
А можете прислать этот файл в группу в Телеграме?
Какой?
Ну, который мы сейчас разбирали. Экселевский.
Вы Excel-ку? Ну,
Да,
мы
да.
разбирали тот файл, а в этом мы писали. Так, изменен другим пользователем. Окей, сохранить копию. Кто-то, в общем, его уже открыл. В общем, он есть в папке, если что, я его там сохранил. Вот, перепишем изменения. В общем, он есть там в папке, поэтому можете зайти в папку, вот, и можете тоже, в принципе, кинуть его в чат. Вот, ну, либо хотите, чтобы я кинул в чат. К тому, что он есть в папке,
Да,
если нужно,
чтобы не
чтобы он в чате, я
потерялось.
А?
Чтобы не потерялось.
Да,
Если не сложно.
естественно, ничего в папке ничего не теряется. Там все лежит, если оттуда никто ничего не удаляет. Вот, поэтому все там, и, в общем, смотрите туда. Туда я тоже еще что-нибудь покидаю там завтра. Вот. Но вообще я буду стараться писать в чате об этом, что я что-то добавил, чтобы было видно. Окей. Вот. Просто иногда это дело очень сумбурно, и, в общем, писать в чате всегда надо, в общем, так сказать, психологически быть готовым к этому. Вот. Сформулировать мысль и донести ее. Иногда на это просто capabilities. Но я понял, что да, лучше лишний раз написать, в общем, что-то, чтобы оповестить, но неважно, как сказать, насколько будет точная формулировка. Я просто не люблю, когда я пишу в чате, а потом начинают там 15 человек писать в директ и спрашивать там какие-то, переспрашивать. Поэтому, когда я пишу в чате, я хочу это написать как бы очень однозначно. Вот. Окей, какие еще вопросы?
Вопросов нет, спасибо, до свидания.
До свидания. Так, никого точно больше нету?
Ну, можно
Давайте,
еще
есть возможность.
уточнить небольшой вопрос по поводу терминологии. Конкретно про дивиденды. Просто вот вы скидывали в наш чат несколько разных ссылок с разными источниками на разные форматы дивидендов. В одном из источников используется понятие stable dividend policy, когда мы говорим про какие-то конкретные выплаты, то есть там по $5 за share. А в другом источнике это то же самое, что constant, то есть когда у нас процентное взаимоотношение. Мы в нашем курсе какую будем терминологию применять, чтобы не запутаться, например, на мидтерме? Stable dividend, это будет вот что?
Stable dividend, давайте constant, это будет процент, а stable это будет именно в значении, да, то есть там был EPS $10 per share, пусть он такой остается 10. Давайте вот так. То есть все-таки то, что написано в инвестопедии, в общем, где вот говорилось про видео, каком-то говорилось, может быть. Вообще вроде видео там тоже на 3 раскладывалось. И в инвестопедии, по-моему, также. В каком вот источнике было, что stable это процент как constant. Не помните?
Кажется, в инвестопедии было stable, что это как в долларовом значении, как какое-то число, а в CFI, кажется, вы скидывали еще Corporate Finance Institute, там было, что это как процент.
Слушайте, да, посмотрю, спасибо за уточнение. Вот, но вообще вот как обсудили, так, я так привык, по крайней мере. Вообще, в целом, вы можете уточнять просто. Всегда, на самом деле, просто уточните в скобках, если что. Если что-то вас смущает, просто напишите, как вы считаете, да, звездочку поставьте, не знаю. Мне как бы, честно, терминология не столько важна, сколько вот что за ней стоит. Вот, потому что терминология бывает